You old bitch! You can't do anything to me, so you know who daughter I am!
Oh, come on. The truth will be revealed soon.
You old bitch! Do whatever you want. I'm right here.
The moment Karen Davidson waddled into Judge Judy's courtroom, the air shifted. People had seen entitled defendants before, but nothing like this woman towering, smug, and radiating the kind of arrogance that made even the bailiff subtly straighten his stance. Karen dropped into the defendant's chair like she owned the place, flipping her hair back as if the courtroom lights existed solely to spotlight her. She smirked, crossed her arms, and waited for her moment to strike. She didn't have to wait long. Let's get this over with, she muttered loudly enough for half the courtroom to hear. Some of us have real lives outside these sessions. Judge Judy lifted her eyes, slow and deliberate, the way a lioness lifts her head before the pounce. You'll get your chance to speak, she replied, her tone sharper than a knife's edge. Try not to embarrass yourself before we even begin. Karen rolled her eyes, a mistake big enough to end a career. The case file in front of Judge Judy was thick. Pages and pages of complaints, harassment, reviews, and lawsuits. But this wasn't any ordinary case. This was the culmination of years' worth of patterns that finally caught the attention of the one judge who did not tolerate manipulation. Theatrics, or professional victims. As the camera steadied. Judy tapped the folder. Miss Davidson, she began, you've sued 12 businesses in the past 4 years for discrimination, and every single one of those cases just happened to end in a settlement. Karen smiled with fake innocence. Because I was mistreated, obviously. Judy raised an eyebrow. Obviously. Behind Karen, her longtime friend-turned-witness, Monica, was trembling. She knew what Karen had done. She knew the playbook. She had followed Karen around for years, tricked by friendship, dragged into schemes, forced to echo Karen's lies. And finally, after watching dozens of innocent small businesses crumble under Karen's attacks, she broke. She turned in the evidence. She handed it all to Judge Judy's staff, and today, it was all coming out. Judy opened the first video footage from FitLife Gym. Karen was seen entering the gym, shouting at the receptionist barely 2 minutes in. I need disability accommodations. You think fat people don't deserve respect? But the footage continued past what Karen had submitted. When the camera switched angles, Karen was seen laughing with Monica just seconds earlier. Walking perfectly fine. No struggle. No discomfort. No breathlessness. The moment she spotted the camera, she immediately clutched her back like she was collapsing. Karen shot up from her chair in the courtroom. That video is taken out of context. Sit, Judy ordered. And stop talking. Karen sat, but the fury in her face was impossible to hide. Judy continued. You demanded the gym install $40,000 worth of customized equipment for your mobility condition, despite walking normally the moment you thought no one was filming. Then you filed a lawsuit for an additional $50,000. Karen opened her mouth, but Judy sliced through her interruption. And when the gym owner refused to settle, you created a smear campaign. Fake reviews. Fake screenshots. Fake harassment claims. A ripple of gasps moved through the courtroom. Karen's jaw clenched. I was standing up for people like me. Big women are always discriminated against. Judy leaned forward. No, you were standing up for your bank account. Karen scoffed, waving her hand dramatically. Please, you're too emotional to understand what it's like being me. Maybe it's menopause or something. The courtroom froze. Even the cameraman stopped breathing. Judy's eyes sharpened like glass. The bailiff took one step forward, just in case. Karen had crossed the single worst line a defendant could cross in this courtroom. Judy's voice dropped to a deadly calm. Say that again. Karen blinked, realizing too late that she had triggered the one thing Judy never tolerated: disrespect based on age, gender, or authority. I'm just saying, Karen said weakly. Older women get sensitive. Stop talking, Judy commanded. And listen. Karen sat back, deflated, but still clinging to her entitlement like armor. Judy turned to Monica. Miss Rivera, did you willingly participate in Miss Davidson's schemes? Monica swallowed hard. At first, I thought she was actually being mistreated. But then I realized she planned everything. She'd rehearse arguments in the car. She coached me on what to say. And when business is settled, she'd laugh and call it easy money. I'm sorry I stayed quiet for so long. Karen whipped her head around. Traitor. Judy slammed her pen on the desk. Quiet. The echo hit the walls. Miss Davidson, Judy said, her voice ice cold. This court has seen scammers, manipulators, and opportunists. But your level of arrogance, your willingness to fabricate discrimination for profit, your delight in destroying small businesses, immigrant businesses, places built from sweat and sacrifice, that makes you beyond shameless. It makes you dangerous. Karen folded her arms, trying to recover her composure. Whatever. I'll win this case like I always do. Judy smiled. And it wasn't a warm smile. It was the kind of smile that meant the storm was officially arriving. You're not winning anything today. The room fell into silence so deep. It felt like the air itself had paused, because unlike the business owners who couldn't afford to fight you, Judy lifted a massive binder filled with printed evidence. I have the time. I have the resources. And I have the truth. Karen's face went pale. Judy nodded to the bailiff. Let's proceed with the evidence. This might take a while. The camera zoomed in on Karen's trembling hands. She had never been afraid in a courtroom before, but today, she finally realized she wasn't the hunter dot, she was the prey. Asterisk Karen tried to mask, the panic rising in her chest as the bailiff handed Judge Judy a stack of printed screenshots. The judge flipped through them slowly, deliberately, letting every second of silence carve deeper into Karen's confidence. The cameras captured her stiffening posture, the way her fingers twitched, the faint tremor she tried to hide. For the first time in her life, the courtroom felt hostile not to her victims, but to her. Judy finally held up one of the screenshots. Miss Davidson, these one-star reviews for FitLife Gym were posted under different usernames, but all from the same device. Care to explain that? Karen shrugged. Lots of people use public Wi-Fi. Anyone could have written them. Public Wi-Fi. Judy's voice was flat, unimpressed. Right. She slid the next page forward. And these messages you sent to Mr. Chen threatening to ruin him unless he pays up, was that also someone using public Wi-Fi? Karen hesitated, then leaned forward aggressively. Look, he was rude to me. He humiliated me. I was emotional, okay? He provoked me. By refusing to pay you $50,000 for imaginary damages? Judy countered. Karen's face tightened. It wasn't imaginary. Monica, sitting in the witness chair, lowered her head. It was, she whispered. She planned everything. Karen rounded on her again. Why are you even here? No one asked you to speak. Actually, Judy cut in sharply. I asked her to speak, and she will continue speaking. Karen deflated, swallowing her next insult. Judy turned to Monica. Tell me about the night before the FitLife incident. Monica took a shaky breath. She rehearsed the whole argument. She practiced limping, practiced breathing heavily, practiced pretending like she couldn't bend down. She told me gyms are easy targets. They never want bad press. She said once the owner got scared, he'd pay fast and she'd finally buy something nice for herself. Karen slammed her palm on the table. Lies, you're just jealous because I actually know how to get money in this world. Judy's glare sliced through her. Do not raise your voice in my courtroom. I won't warn you again. Karen leaned back, muttering curses under her breath. Judy turned another page. Now, let's talk about Restaurant Milano. Karen froze, Monica froze, but Judy was already reading from the file. Asterisk. You alleged that the restaurant refused to seat you because of your weight. She lifted her eyes. Yet the footage shows the host saying, and I quote, please wait one moment. We're preparing a table. You became hostile within 20 seconds, solely because the couple behind you was seated first after having a reservation. Karen's voice came out strained. They looked at me funny. Stop, Judy said coldly. You recorded 13 minutes of you screaming at the staff, demanding they pay for fake phobic discrimination. The owner settled that case for $20,000. He said he couldn't risk losing customers over a false narrative. That's not my fault, Karen snapped. He was weak. A collective gasp went through the courtroom. Asterisk Judy leaned back in her chair, studying Karen the way a surgeon studies a tumor before removal. Weak? Or just unable to afford a professional extortionist like you? Karen bristled. I'm not an extortionist. Judy tapped the binder. This evidence suggests otherwise. Karen's lips curled into a sneer. You think you're special because you sit behind that desk? You think you can scare me? I know my rights. Judy's expression didn't change. If anything, it grew calmer, colder. You're right. You do have rights. And one of those rights is the right to be thoroughly exposed when you abuse the justice system. Karen slapped her hand on the table again. I never abused anything. Asterisk, really? Judy slid a new document forward. Because your bank statements show a spike in deposits after each of your lawsuits. And 3 separate witnesses confirm you bragged about using discrimination claims as a shortcut to easy money. Karen's breath hitched. Everyone exaggerates online. You didn't just exaggerate, Judy replied. You weaponized vulnerability. You turned real discrimination into a joke for your financial gain. But today, that ends. Sweat gathered along Karen's temples. She dabbed at it with her sleeve, breathing harder, shifting in her seat as if the chair suddenly shrank beneath her. Judy now addressed Monica again. Why come forward now? Monica's voice cracked. Because I couldn't sleep anymore. Every time we won a settlement, she'd celebrate it like a game. But the people she sued, they were good people. They cried. They begged. One bakery owner almost closed down because of her. I realized she wasn't fighting for justice. She was hunting. Karen's face twisted with rage. You're dead to me after this? Judy slammed her pen down with enough force to echo. Let me make this perfectly clear. Threats will not save you. They will only hurt you. Karen sank back, chest rising and falling rapidly. Judy continued. Miss Rivera, what finally pushed you to speak out? What was the breaking point? Monica's eyes filled with tears. Mr. Chun, he didn't deserve what she did. He was kind. He offered her a free consultation, offered to help her find lower impact exercises. She recorded his kindness, edited it, and made him look like a monster. That's when I realized she didn't just want money. She wanted to destroy people who didn't give her what she wanted. Karen shot up again. That's not true. Sit down, Judy snapped. Karen sat slowly, breathing like a bull preparing to charge. Judy closed the binder. Miss Davidson, I am giving you one final opportunity. Is there anything at all you want to say that might work in your favor before we proceed with the full charges laid out against you? Karen tightened her jaw, her glare venomous. Yeah, she hissed. I want to say that all of you are against me. The businesses, the courts, the public, all jealous, all biased, all trying to keep a strong woman like me down. Well, guess what? I don't break. I don't apologize. And I sure as hell don't bow to some outdated judge who doesn't understand modern discrimination. A murmur swept across the courtroom. Judy leaned in, speaking softly enough that the silence made her words hit harder. Oh, Miss Davidson, you should have remained silent. Karen blinked. Because Judy wasn't just about to rule, she was about to dismantle her, piece by piece, and Karen could feel it coming like a tidal wave. Asterisk. The courtroom had turned silent in that charged, electric way that meant something irreversible was about to happen. Karen could feel it too. Her bravado was thinning, slipping like a cheap wig in a storm. But she refused to show the fear clawing at her chest. She lifted her chin, crossing her arms defiantly, as if stubbornness could shield her from the mountain of evidence stacked against her. Judge Judy signaled to the bailiff. Bring in the next witness. The doors opened, and in stepped Marcus Chen. Karen's spine stiffened. She hadn't seen him since the day she'd ambushed him in the gym parking lot, accusing him of fat-shaming her with his eyeballs. She remembered the way he froze, confused, trying to understand what was happening while she recorded him from 2 inches away. Now, he walked into the courtroom with quiet dignity, shoulders squared, eyes calm. His wife sitting nervously in the gallery. Marcus took the stand. Judy began gently. Mr. Chun, tell this courtroom what happened the day Miss Davidson first entered your gym. Marcus spoke with a soft, steady voice. She came in yelling. Before we could even ask how we could help, she accused my receptionist of discrimination. When I came out to assist, she told me I'm exactly the type of skinny Asian man who hates big women. He paused, swallowing. But I never said anything remotely like that. I didn't even know her. Corinne scoffed loudly. Oh please, you looked me up and down like I was a spectacle. Don't pretend you weren't judging me. Judy snapped without looking at her. You will not interrupt the witness again. Karen sank back but kept muttering under her breath. Marcus continued. I tried to de-escalate the situation. I offered her a free consultation with one of our trainers. I told her she could try the low-impact equipment first. But she refused everything. She just wanted to argue. She pointed her phone at me and kept trying to get me to slip up. When I stayed calm, she moved closer and said she would rip my business apart if I didn't pay for the modifications she wanted. Marcus reached into his pocket, hands trembling slightly. I recorded part of it too. Not to attack her, but to protect myself. Judy nodded. Let's hear it. The bailiff plugged a phone into the courtroom speakers. Corinne's voice blasted through the room instantly. You think I need your stupid treadmill? I'm gonna make you famous. You hear me? People will think you hate big women. That's discrimination. And you know what happens to businesses that discriminate? They pay me. Marcus's voice was barely audible in the recording. Ma'am, please calm down. Let's talk. No. Karen screeched. You're gonna pay me or I'm gonna ruin you. A collective gasp rippled through the courtroom. Even Karen's own attorney, who already looked like he wanted to crawl under the table, closed. His eyes like he was witnessing a slow-motion train wreck. The audio ended. Judy folded her hands. Well, Miss Davidson. Karen's face was bright red. That recording is edited. He tampered with it. It's fake. It's an eye. You can't trust anything these gym bros do. Judy stared at her like she just witnessed a toddler eat sand. Miss Davidson, do you hear yourself? Corinne doubled down. He's lying. How do we know he didn't bribe that woman? She jabbed a finger toward Monica to make up stories to help his case. Monica's voice cracked. Corinne, stop. You can't lie your way out of this. Corinne whipped her head around. Shut up. Judy slammed her palm on the bench, the crack echoing like thunder. Enough. Even the cameraman flinched. Karen froze mid-breath. Judy inhaled deeply, regaining her composure before looking at Marcus. Mr. Chen, what happened after the incident? Marcus's shoulders dropped slightly. We lost customers. Her online reviews kept coming. She made videos about us. Accused us of discrimination. People believed her. Our business dropped by almost half. My wife cried every night thinking we'd lose everything we built. He paused, voice shaking. This gym is our dream. We worked so hard and she almost destroyed us. His wife covered her mouth as tears spilled down her cheeks. Corinne shrugged. That's business. You either survive or you don't. Not my fault if people chose to trust me. A sound rose from the gallery, a mix of disgust and disbelief. Judy didn't react outwardly, but her jaw tightened slightly. Mr. Chen, Judy said gently, did you ever discriminate against Miss Davidson based on her size? No, Your Honor, he said firmly. We welcome everyone. I even told her she could speak to our nutritionist for free. She told me she'd rather eat glass than listen to a skinny guy lecture her on food. Corinne tossed her hair. It was a joke. Your jokes, Judy replied sharply, cost people their livelihoods. Karen opened her mouth to argue, but Judy held up a finger. The warning finger. Karen shut it. Judy turned to Marcus. Thank you for your testimony. As Marcus stepped down, he glanced briefly at Karen, not with anger, not with hate, but with tired disappointment, as if she wasn't a villain, just a sad, broken storm too eager to destroy anything in her path. Karen hated that look more than anything. It made her feel small. Judy turned back to the defendant. Miss Davidson, you've caused significant financial damage to multiple small businesses. You fabricated discrimination claims. You manipulated public outrage. You weaponized your own insecurities into a tool of extortion. Karen clenched her teeth. So what? People discriminate all the time. I just flipped the system on them. Isn't that what justice looks like? Judy stared straight into her, voice low and precise. Justice is accountability. Something you have never faced. Until now. Karen swallowed. For the first time, she actually swallowed. Judy continued, her tone growing colder with each word. I have reviewed every file. Every video. Every written statement. Every settlement you extracted from terrified business owners who simply couldn't afford to fight you. And what I see is not a victim. She leaned forward. What I see is a predator. Karen's breath hitched, but she tried to cover it with a smirk. You think calling me names is gonna scare me? No, Judy said calmly. The truth is what scares you. A knock echoed at the door. The bailiff stepped forward. Your Honor, the compiled financial audit has arrived. Judy nodded. Bring it here. Karen's face drained of color. Judy took the thick envelope, tore it open, and scanned the pages. Her eyes narrowed slowly. Miss Davidson, she said, looking up, did you really think you could hide the money? Karen froze. Judy tapped the papers. Because now we know exactly where it went. The courtroom leaned forward. Karen's hands trembled for the first time, and Judy prepared to drop the next bombshell. Karen's breathing became shallow as Judge Judy flipped through the newly arrived audit pages. Every rustle of paper sounded like a countdown, each second dragging her closer to a truth she'd fought desperately to bury. The gallery watched her unravel, the bravado slipping from her face in uneven pieces. Judy looked up slowly, her gaze sharp enough to cut. Miss Davidson, you didn't just take settlement money. You laundered it through multiple accounts. Karen blinked rapidly. That's not what laundering means. It is, Judy replied. When you disperse settlement funds through 6 different prepaid accounts before routing them into a single personal card registered under a false name. The courtroom gasp again, louder this time. Karen shook her head violently. I didn't. That's a lie. I don't even know how to do that kind of stuff. Judy raised a single eyebrow. You don't? Because the audit traces all the accounts back to your home IP address. And your signature is on 3 of them. Karen snapped to her attorney for help, but he simply rubbed his forehead, avoiding eye contact like a man questioning every career decision he ever made. Judy continued. You told previous courts you used the settlement money for therapy, medical treatment, and emotional recovery. But according to this audit, she tapped the page lightly. Your biggest expenses were online shopping sprees, takeout food, and weekend casino trips. Karen's jaw dropped open. So what? I can spend my money however I want. You can, Judy agreed. But only if that money was earned legally. Karen slammed her hand on the table. It was legal. They settled. They gave it to me willingly. Judy leaned back, folding her arms with slow, devastating precision. People also hand over their wallets to armed robbers. That doesn't make the robbery legal. Karen's face twisted into a furious snarl. You're twisting it. They discriminated? No, Judy interrupted. You exploited a broken system. Then you hid the money to avoid taxes. And that is a crime. Karen's cheeks quivered. This is ridiculous. You're trying to ruin my life over a misunderstanding? Judy shook her head calmly. Miss Davidson, this is not a misunderstanding. This is a pattern of fraud. Karen's lower lip trembled, but she bit it hard to hide it. Everyone is out to get me. Everyone. It's because I'm a big woman. People hate me for existing. Judy stared at her for a long, measured moment. Miss Davidson, size is not your problem. Your choices are. A murmur echoed through the room as Judy closed the audit folder. Let's move on to the Bakersfield Cafe incident. Karen visibly deflated. Not that one. Please. Oh yes, Judy said. Especially that one. Monica straightened in her chair. She knew what was coming, Judy said, You claim the cafe refused to serve you because of your size. You posted a viral video accusing them of discrimination, which nearly shut their doors. Karen nodded aggressively. Because they did discriminate. They asked me to move because I was blocking the aisle. That's illegal. Fat people deserve space too. Judy held up a finger. Actually, they asked you politely to move because you parked yourself on a cafe bench they used as a display. A bench clearly marked not for seating. Karen's face turned purple. That sign was tiny. Judy turned to the bailiff. Play the footage. The screen lit up with cafe security footage. Karen was seen grabbing the display bench with both hands, dragging it to the center of the room, and plopping down on it with exaggerated difficulty. A staff member approached kindly, asking her to move to an actual seat. Karen exploded instantly, accusing the young woman of trying to hide fat people from customers when another employee approached. Karen pretended to cry loudly while secretly checking her camera angle. Then she shouted, "This business will pay for humiliating me." Karen yelped as Judy paused the video. That was taken out of context. Judy looked exhausted. Miss Davidson, the only thing taken out of context is your sense of reality. Karen glared at the camera. I was expressing my feelings. Feelings aren't illegal. No, Judy agreed. But lying for financial gain is. Karen exhaled shakily, wiping sweat from her forehead. Judy turned to Monica once again. Miss Rivera, you accompanied Miss Davidson during that incident, correct? Monica nodded. Yes, she told me she wanted a cafe to go viral next. She said bakeries are emotional businesses and easy to win settlements from. She even made me film from 2 angles so she could edit a dramatic montage later. Karen screamed. You backstabbing? Quiet, Judy bellowed. The courtroom fell dead silent. Judy rested her palms on the bench. Miss Davidson, you didn't stop at lawsuits. You built an online persona around your manipulation. You labeled yourself a fat activist, yet your activism ended the moment you received a settlement. Karen scoffed loudly. Justice is expensive. No, Judy corrected. Fraud is expensive. Karen's breathing quickened again. What are you even gonna do? Fine me? Make me apologize? I don't care. I'll walk out of here and sue 10 more businesses. Judy smiled. A slow, knowing smile that made Karen recoil. You won't. Karen blinked. What? Because after reviewing the audit, the recordings, the witness statements, and the pattern of your financial movement, Judy picked up her gavel gently, her voice turning cold and final. I am forwarding this case to the district attorney for criminal investigation. The courtroom erupted. Gasps. Whispers, shock. Karen's mouth fell open. And for the first time, she looked truly terrified. What, you can't do that? Why, you're just a TV judge. Wrong, Judy replied. I am a legally appointed judge with the authority to refer cases involving criminal suspicion. And this case reeks of criminal intent. Karen shook her head, trembling uncontrollably. No, nitrogen monoxide. You can't. You can't do this to me. I'm the victim here. Judy leaned forward, voice low and lethal. Victims don't create victims. Karen's eyes filled with panic, her breath turning shallow. The walls felt like they were closing in on her. Judge. Judy lifted the final page of evidence. We're not done yet. There's still the matter of the anonymous tip about where the rest of your settlement money went. Karen froze. Judy's expression sharpened. Let's talk about the storage unit. Karen's heart stopped. Monica covered her mouth, and the entire courtroom braced for the next revelation. Asterisk. The courtroom fell into a heavy silence as Judge Miranda fixed her gaze on Hannah, the senator's daughter, who now looked nothing like the smug, mocking girl who had walked in earlier. Her confidence had evaporated, replaced by something far more human fear. Miss Thompson, Judge Miranda said, her voice steady but edged with finality, you came into this courtroom believing power shields you. That arrogance has now placed you in deeper trouble than you ever expected. Hannah swallowed hard. Her hands trembled on the table. Judge Miranda continued, this isn't just a case about fake purchases or a dishonest story. This is about respect for the law, for the people you interact with, and for the truth. Even the audience leaned forward, sensing something serious was about to happen. Hannah finally broke. "Your Honor, I'm sorry," she whispered, her voice cracking. "I didn't mean for it to be this big. I didn't want to look stupid in front of everyone." Miranda didn't soften, not even for a second. "Being embarrassed," the judge said, "is not a license to lie. And certainly not a license to manipulate someone who trusted you." Emily stood quietly, watching the girl who had ridiculed her now crumble under the weight of her own choices. "I'm assigning 200 hours of community service," Judge Miranda declared, "and it will not be glamorous. You will work in a community center for underprivileged children whose parents do not have your father's influence. Children who understand far more about struggle than you ever have." Hannah's jaw dropped. "Community service? With kids?" It wasn't anger this time, just shock. "Yes," Miranda replied sharply. "Maybe learning to serve people instead of stepping on them will finally teach you the humility you lack." The audience murmured in approval. Hannah's eyes filled with tears. Real ones this time. Emily inhaled deeply, relief washing over her as the judge turned toward her. "Miss Carter," Miranda said gently, "I want to thank you for standing up for yourself. Not everyone would have. And despite the disrespect you faced, you handled this with dignity." Emily nodded. "Thank you, Your Honor." Judge Miranda wasn't finished. "I'm also ordering Hannah to reimburse Emily for the full amount of the purchase, plus an additional fine for making false statements in this courtroom." A gasp spread across the room as Hannah's mouth fell open again. This is going to ruin my reputation." Hannah stammered. "No." Miranda corrected firmly. "Your choices did that. My judgment simply reflects reality." Those words stung harder than any punishment. The gavel came down. Case closed. A heavy exhale swept through the courtroom as people slowly began to stand. Emily packed her belongings with trembling hands, not from fear now, but from the overwhelming sense of closure. As she walked toward the exit, something unexpected happened. Hey. "Emily," it was Hannah. She approached slowly, shoulders slumped. No entitlement left, just regret. Emily paused but didn't speak. Hannah looked at the floor. "I really am sorry. I shouldn't have treated you the way I did. You didn't deserve any of it." Emily stayed silent for a moment, then nodded. "I hope you mean that." "I do," Hannah said quietly. "And I'll pay everything back. I'll do the hours. I guess I needed this." Emily's expression softened just a little. "Everyone needs a wake-up call sometimes." Hannah gave a weak, grateful nod before walking away. Her father's shadow nowhere near enough to shield her from the lesson she had finally learned. Outside the courthouse, Emily stepped into the sunlight feeling lighter than she had in days. Justice had been served not because someone powerful demanded it, but because someone brave stood up for what was right, and Judge Miranda. She watched from her window above, satisfied not with the punishment she delivered, but with the transformation she witnessed. Asterisk for her. This wasn't just another case file. It was a reminder that arrogance has limits, and the truth always finds its way to the surface.